Good afternoon, I'm Jeff Lyons. It is 2:30 here on Tuesday, March the 10th, time for the afternoon streaming weather update. We have alert days in place for later tonight and tomorrow, so we're going to get into some of the updated timing for those things. I'm also watching your comments here on the 14 News Facebook page, and I'll answer your questions here once we get to the end of the weathercast. So first off, our threats and concerns are pretty consistent with what we've been showing you the last couple of days. We still have a 2 of 5 risk for severe storms later tonight in Illinois, and then for tomorrow in the eastern half of the tri-state. For the hazards, all are in play: wind, hail, tornado, and some flooding possible too. The Storm Prediction Center did upgrade the risk to our far north there to a level 4 or moderate risk. Major severe outbreak possible up around Peoria, Danville, Lafayette, in areas north of Interstate 74. Notice that we are way down here at the very periphery where we have a level 1 risk for later tonight and level 2 over southern Illinois. And the thinking here is that as that cold front moves down, it will kind of focus a few thunderstorms that may venture into our northwestern counties like Wayne, Edwards, Wabash, and farther up Clay, Richland, Lawrence, Knox overnight tonight. When I say overnight, I mean like midnight to like 4 a.m. or so. And the main threat with those storms would likely be hail, given the way the atmosphere is stacked up. These are all of the risks that are presented for later tonight into tomorrow morning. And you'll notice here that on that tornado threat, even though it's a 2%, which is very low, there is the potential, given the amount of shear that we have in the atmosphere, we could get an EF2 tornado out of that. Doesn't mean we're going to have one. It just means that the atmosphere is stacked to favor a couple of the stronger tornadoes. Wednesday will be the day that will likely affect everyone with storms at some point. And on Wednesday, we have that level 2 of 5 risk pretty much for the entire tri-state except for southern Illinois. And that will start to unfold in a couple of waves. We have an early morning round of storms possible, and then the afternoon as the cold front itself moves in. The risk for large hail is still relatively low. This again is for tomorrow at 5%. The damaging wind risk is at 15%. Notice it's much higher, closer to the parent low, which will be moving north of I-70 there toward Columbus during the day on Wednesday. And our tornado risk for the tri-state is at a 2%, which is still fairly low. Notice the cross-hatching is gone. So we're thinking more in terms of spin-up, possibly embedded tornadoes within a line of storms that develops. All right, here's the timeline, and I know a lot of you are going to say, well, what time is it going to get here? What time is it going to get there? So look at the map. I'll try to parse that out for you as best I can. So midnight, through midnight, we probably will be rain-free. Then from midnight to about 2 to 3 a.m., a few thunderstorms will fire. And these are going to be kind of scattershot in nature, not really tied to the cold front in an organized way, but rather tied to the very warm, unstable air that we have out there right now. So in this case, all the way up through that morning commute, thunderstorms will be just kind of scattered around. A few of those may produce hail. And then we get a little more of a cluster of storms diving out of Illinois and moving across the area during the first part of the morning commute, which would be around 6. Those move out. And it's real important here, if those storms materialize, that's still an if, by the way, for the overnight business, it could have the effect of stabilizing or working over the atmosphere and kind of putting off then the redevelopment of storms in the afternoon. Now, we can't count on that, and even if you hear thunder at night, that doesn't mean that it will knock out the afternoon storms, but it may play into when they initialize again and move our way. So here's midday, 12:30. We are windy, warm, a little lull in the action, and then the cold front begins to push in, and this is when I think we're going to see our best chance for severe thunderstorms. Damaging winds, given the formation here on the model, a line of storms we would expect a damaging wind threat, maybe a few embedded tornadoes along that line. And notice the timing here, around 2:30, coming across southern Illinois and then into the metro area here closer to 4. That is close to school dismissal time, folks starting to head home from work. That's a bad time to have storms, and there's a potential we could see disruptions tomorrow, delayed releases, things like that. So you want to make sure you have a way to get that information and weather warnings as well. This is at 4 o'clock. By 5:36, that line continues to march to the south and east. Remember, this area was outlooked at a 2 of 5, so the atmosphere will be primed for strong to severe storms during that time. Wind and tornadoes would be the main threat. Hail, large hail also in there as well. By the evening, we should start to quiet down, and then we clear out for Thursday. The sun returns. Notice the winds are out of the west at this point, so it will get much cooler with temperatures only in the 50s on Thursday. So a big drop here from near 80, which is where we are right now. The rainfall with this couple of systems moving through could easily exceed 1 inch to 1.5 inches. So we will have to watch for localized flooding under some of the storms, or if they move over the same area, training type thunderstorms. So just to sum it all up here, we're expecting 2 rounds of storms, one between midnight and 7 a.m. Those are going to be more scattered and with a hail potential. And then that noon to 6 should be the main event. That would have the tornado threat and the damaging wind threat in addition to heavy rainfall. The tornado threat, as I mentioned, a few are possible overnight tonight through early tomorrow morning in Illinois. The atmosphere is stacked such that some of the tornadoes, if we have any, could reach EF2 intensity. That is not marked on the outlook for tomorrow. Doesn't mean we won't have an EF2, but if we were to get tornadoes, the atmosphere, the elements that we would need for tornadoes are a little more spread out, and so not quite as intense. The limiting factors with this whole event will hinge on 2 things. A capping inversion could set up overnight and into tomorrow, especially after that first round of storms moves through. And if we're capped, as you know, if we're in the warm sector here between the cold front and the warm front, you can have, warm, humid conditions, but the storms can't punch through the cap and nothing would happen. I don't think that'll be the case. I do think things will break through that cap and we will get some storms. The early storms, the ones that happen in the morning, could also have the effect of kind of limiting the overall intensity and impact of the storms. Right now, the radar is showing some storms and rain down in Arkansas. Otherwise, we have partly sunny across the tri-state now. And that temperature, oh my goodness, they fixed the bridge cam. You can see it again. 79 degrees out there. Our record high, I believe, is 82 for today. So we're going to bump up against that record or get pretty close to it. The relative humidity is at 62%. Look at that dew point at 65. That might be a record high dew point for the month of March. So we'll have to keep an eye on that, of course, or maybe it's just for today. But anyway, that's a lot of moisture in the atmosphere. We're showing 80 at Mount Vernon now, 80 at Madisonville, upper 70s every place else. So it's definitely spring-like out there with the weather feeling the way it does. And that's because our warm front has lifted through already. So we're now accessing the Gulf and all of that moisture is streaming in on a south wind. The warm front will continue to lift to the north. That will likely be the focus for those tornadoes and severe weather here in northern Illinois tonight. Then as the low moves in tomorrow morning, out ahead of the front, again, we have some showers and storms early, and then the front kind of elongates and we get that main line coming through during the afternoon with the damaging wind and tornado threat. And then it moves off. We have high pressure then pulling down colder air, and we will have a quiet finish to the week. Our temperature will pull back to 52 on Thursday, then bounce back to near 70 on Sunday. Sunday into Monday is very interesting. We could see a situation where we start with some thunderstorms on Sunday afternoon and evening and wind up with snow early Monday morning because the temperature will plunge to around 28, then down to 21 on Tuesday morning. So winter's not quite done yet. This is another look at it on the GFS model. You see Thursday, Friday dry, Saturday dry with a southerly wind. Sunday afternoon, showers and storms moving in along a cold front, and then possibly that changeover to snow. Now, while it looks like a lot, the models are only generating a couple tenths of an inch, and that will be on the heels of all of this warm weather and rain. So if anything sticks, it would likely be on grassy areas or places like that. And then maybe another shot of snow on Wednesday with that cold air already in place. For tonight, I'm expecting the low only to get down to about 66. Few thunderstorms overnight between midnight and 6 a.m. Tomorrow then we get up to 71. Thunderstorms likely primarily afternoon, and those will contain the best chance for severe weather, hail or damaging winds and tornadoes. After that, our temperatures really get a little wild on us here. We stay in the 60s through the weekend and then pull back for a little winter reprise on Monday and Tuesday. So that is the update here this afternoon on our severe threat. I will check your questions now and see if we have any concerns or things that I didn't talk about that you want to hear about here again. Oh, we will start with Cheyenne Hammonds. Even with the hatching and our tornado risk still pretty low. Yes, it is. Yeah, Cheyenne is among many, maybe even me, that don't quite understand the new hatchings. The reason the Storm Prediction Center is using cross-hatching in the outlooks is to give a gauge for the intensity of whatever the hazard is. So in our case, it's tornadoes. One crosshatch, EF2, crosshatches, EF3 and higher, and then the other one is EF4, or EF3 to 4. We're not anywhere near that. This is not a tornado outbreak type situation here. But you know how that is. If you get the right environment, you can get a stronger tornado. Let's see, Zach Seitz says, widespread severe weather expected for Evansville. Yes. Jeff Miller sitting on the porch at 80 degrees. That's right. All right. Good for you. I wish I was too. Allie Dillon, EVSC has no school tomorrow, but Toyota traffic heading home will be bad. It could be, and again, that will be at a sensitive time. I'm not exactly sure when Toyota releases there, when the shifts change. I thought it was around 2 or 3, but in any case, do be prepared if you're out driving tomorrow afternoon for storms. And remember, we simulcast, if we happen to be on with wall-to-wall coverage, we simulcast that on 104 FM WIKY, so you can listen on the radio in your car. And the app, everything else, you know the drill on that. Evansville Catholic is in tomorrow. We don't know whether they will release early or not. There's no word on that at all. Heather Pate, where's the hatched area? The hatched area for the tornado risk overnight extends down into southern Illinois with an EF2 possibility. Doesn't mean we will have one. It just means that given the conditions, if we get a tornado, it could reach that intensity. Lots of ifs and buts in there. It's just more of an idea to give you, kind of put the risk in the overall context. Tori Talbert, is the tornado threat in marginal risk tonight bad? Well, it's a 2% risk, so that's very low. The odds that we will have tornadoes overnight here in the tri-state are very low, 2%. It's not zero, and if we do have tornadoes, the atmosphere would be able to yield a stronger tornado, perhaps, of EF2 intensity, but that is not expected. That's what's possible, but probably not. Hail would be the likely overnight severe element with any storms that develop in southern Illinois and over the tri-state. I think that got all the questions there. Laura Gray's watching from Dawson Springs, and we appreciate that. Hopkins County, always well represented here on the stream show. I'm going to go put some more graphics together here for 14 News at 4, 5, and 6. Hopefully we'll have a little more information to pass along, but our timing there seems to be gelling around the idea of an early set of storms between, say, 2 a.m. and about 7 a.m., some of which may contain hail, a lull, and then afternoon storms, say noon to about 6 or so, where we would have our best chance for more widespread severe weather and damaging winds and possible embedded tornadoes in those lines. So make sure you have 2 ways to get the warnings, whether it's the 14 First Alert app, NOAA Weather Radio. We will be streaming, of course, our coverage if we go on live or wall to wall, and we will have updates here from the stream room during the day tomorrow, just kind of depending on the best way to reach you with that information. There is a very slight chance we could get capped and it would inhibit thunderstorm development such that we wouldn't get severe. But right now everything is pointing toward a pretty good chance we will have a few warnings and some severe storms on Wednesday. So be prepared. That's everything I know right now. Please stay safe. I'll see you on 14 News at 4 o'clock.